Hello, everyone. How are you doing? I'm so excited to do this live. Welcome, welcome. We are going to be doing a special topic today. So I'm going to wait for a few of you all to hop on, and then we will get started here very, very shortly. And if you're hopping on and you can see me, say hello. Let me know how you're doing and how you are feeling. Let me know in the chat box if you can see me and hear me as well. When we stream through StreamYard, there's always a delay. So I'm like, are we on? Are we not on? So hey, Brenda, hello. If you're hopping on, say hello. This is going to be a really fun live today. So I'm really excited because I announced last week that we are going to be doing the live experience weekly. If you go to my website, we have the schedule up. It's never going to be it might be on the same day. Sometimes it might be on a different day of the week. Just depends on my schedule. And so I'm really excited to chat with you and be in community today. Hello, let me know where you're tuning in from and how you are doing. Hello from Buffalo, Maxine, Ellie, Sheila, Elizabeth. Hello. I'm so excited you're here. So here's what the theme of today is going to be. I want to do an Ask Me Anything theme today. So what that means is you can ask a question. It's not a personal question. It's just like either a topic on a spiritual topic or life coaching or mentorship, something like that. It could be about spirituality or everyday life stuff. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Akashic Records to decide what we're going to theme today's show on. And then I might answer one or two or maybe more questions. So if you have like a specific thing that you are wanting support with, or just something that's been on your mind lately, type it in the chat box. I'm really excited to do this. And so I'll give you an example. Let's say you are having trouble meditating and you want to know like a trick to meditate, or let's say you are having a hard staying on task or being more organized, or just having a hard time coping in general. You could go ahead and type that in the chat box, and depending on what everybody puts in here, I'm going to just let the Akashic Records decide what we are going to base today's topic on and theme. And so if you are new to me, I'm an Akashic Record Master Teacher. I love using the Akashic Records to channel messages from the masters, teachers, and loved ones. Every word, deed, thought from the moment your soul is incepted is recorded in the Akash. I am certified in many different things, from life coaching to the Akashic Records to Reiki, crystals, you name it. I love it. So go ahead and type in the chat box, and I'm going to just pick something that I feel will benefit the whole group. And I really appreciate you guys joining me today. And if you're listening to this after the recording, we are going to be having a live experience weekly, or if you're watching this live, we're going to be having a live experience weekly. And the theme will be different. So sometimes I'm going to do group readings. Sometimes I'm going to do a light language transmission or healing. There'll be an audience choice healing. So you guys get to do a bunch of stuff and share. And then, or Ask Me Anything, which is today's theme, which you can ask me a question. And it doesn't have to be related to spirituality. And then I'm going to just pick something to go off of to base today's topic. Someone said more joyful energy and vitality. Okay, let's see. I'm going to read a couple of these and see which ones. Someone asked how to open and close when dealing with spirits, soul cycles, soul contracts, how they affect us. Help with losing weight, knowing what to say. And just so you guys know, if I don't cover the topic today, these are also great questions for me to come back to for our pre-recorded show, which is Awakening with Amy Robeson. Having difficulty discerning what steps for the right direction, hoping to get back on task with my classes on your site. Just make a schedule, sweetie. Just pick a date, say I'm going to do it, and then put it in your calendar. Make a commitment to yourself. Understanding what people are saying and not letting them put it on me, and then I get experience of it. It's my fault, and I'm being okay. I got that. Okay, so I'm hearing I'm seeing money blockages. If you are having it, wanting support with money or finance, we do have a free healing. If you go to theamyrobeson.com/free and sign up for a free sacred gifts, there's 20 plus free healings in there that you can take advantage of. And there's a money healing in there specifically. And I've had great feedback from people that it's helped them a lot. So let's talk about, someone said I'm having trouble connecting during meditation. Okay. I'm going to talk about soul contracts just because I'm hearing that's going to be a big one. And then I might tie a couple of these other ones in here just to kind of tie some of the things back together. So we all have soul contracts. Every soul has soul contracts. Not all contracts are bad. And I think that's really important to understand. When our soul was incepted, and we decided to come into body or to have an experience, we make contracts with our soul family. And when we make contracts with our soul family, and family, I'm going to put in quotations, does not necessarily mean that they're blood related. Your soul family member could be a colleague or a coworker in your life. Soul family member could be a friend or even a frenemy, or your mother or your father or your sister or your brother or your aunt or an ex of yours. We have soul family that we travel with, and we will make agreements before coming into body that, hey, I'm going to go into this human experience. You're going to play XYZ role for me. I'm going to play XYZ role for you. And when we make these soul contracts and agreements, they are to support us in our soul's evolution, and they are to support the other person in their soul's evolution as well. It's like exchanging energy. It's exchanging wisdom. And when we make these agreements, remember, we're making them in spirit form. So we have the plan. It's all put together. And then when we incarnate, we have amnesia. We forget. And this is really important because oftentimes you will have someone in your life that lived up to the agreement, but might go beyond what the agreement was, or might fall short of what the agreement was. And I'll give you an example. So I know that my stepfather and I made agreements before we incarnated. And one of the agreements is that he was going to be really tough on me, and tough love would assist my soul in growing. What ended up happening, though, with that, and my stepdad taught me many amazing, beautiful things, and I'm so grateful for the relationship and the things that he taught me. And then he also taught me many things that caused a lot of trauma. And that was because he was a severe alcoholic. And so what happened for him, and this is, it's hard to explain sometimes because I see it more like an energy as well. And so for him, like, he incarnated, he had his own trauma. That trauma had him spiral into alcoholism, which created his disease, which caused him to go beyond what the contract was. And for that caused myself trauma and our other family, our blood family members trauma as well. And so sometimes contracts are good, and I am grateful for the contracts that we put in place, but how they are delivered sometimes, or when we outgrow the contract, can sometimes be bad. And I'm going to put bad in quotations, because no matter what, when we experience certain experiences, we still have the power to choose how we are going to react and move on from those experiences. And could I take what I experienced, and could I go down a dark path because I experienced a lot of trauma in my life? Absolutely. And I have gone down certain dark paths because of the trauma that I experienced. However, I'm also choosing to be in light. I'm also choosing to hold multiple perspectives on the given situation so I don't get swallowed up by victimhood. And I want to say that's slightly different, just so that it can land possibly differently for some of you. And if any of this is resonating with you, go ahead and let me know in the chat box. Also, if you're listening to the recording afterwards, leave us a review. I'd love to hear from you. So with that being said, so when you have a contract and when you experience trauma, you have a choice to use that trauma to empower you to change your reality. All experiences give us the opportunity to discover something new about ourselves, to discover and release old truths, to discover and let go of old traumas, to discover and be empowered. And for me, I think as I move through my adulthood and I continue to look back at my childhood and even continue to look back at trauma that I experienced as an adult as well, I realized that the only person in my life that can really create long-lasting change is me. And you are the only person in your life that can create long-lasting change that will assist you in creating what you want. So now let's go back to these soul contracts. Soul contracts can be good, bad, or indifferent. And so the contract itself is always there to assist you in evolving. And we all play different roles. And I mean multiple roles. So let me say that slightly different. In your life, you will play the villain in someone's story. You will play the hero in someone's story. You will play the mother, the father, the guardian figure in someone's story. You will play the companion, the friend, the person that's of service in someone's story. That is so important to understand, because oftentimes when people hear contracts, they kind of go down a spiral of, should I get rid of all these contracts? No, you get rid of contracts, or you void them or mark them complete. And this is something that I teach in our Sacred Awakening Healers Edition, which is our second level for Akashic Records healers, on how to clear out contracts. Now, with contracts can be of service. So let's go to a contract of you playing the villain in someone's life. I know I play the villain in someone's life, and I know other people play villains in my life. It is okay for this, okay? Because it's how they perceive you. It's how you perceive yourself is just as important, but remember, we can't make someone perceive us in any other way than what they're willing to perceive at that exact moment in time. They can change their perception later on through education, through connecting, through different stories, what have you. But at some point in time, you will play the villain in someone's life. And the villain may look like you held a boundary, you told that person no, and now they think you're the worst person ever. But you holding a boundary also taught them that it's okay for someone to say no to them, and it's okay for someone to hold a boundary. And that's just like one example. Let me tell you, have you ever noticed where you were the villain in someone's story? Were you the villain in someone's life? I know that for me, it's I can think of many times I've dated someone, and if we've gotten into a disagreement and maybe the breakup didn't go as planned, one of us played the villain, or we both played the villain in that breakup. Whatever the case is, you will play many different roles for different people. And the key is to understand what contracts are out of place and what contracts are in place when it's important for you to understand those things. Also, just because someone's a family member or has been a long friend for a really long time doesn't mean that you have to be friends with them or be in a relationship with them for the rest of your life, because we can still appreciate someone and the roles that they played in our life and still lovingly have a separation or no relationship with them because we've outgrown the relationship, or it's not necessary to have a relationship anymore. Someone said my family doesn't like that I am no longer the family doormat. Yeah, it's really important. Heather said I've been trying to heal, empower my relationship with my father, though more issues keep coming up, 40 plus years, and there are a lot of traumatic past lives with him, and I need more advice than forgive. So here's the thing, guys. Like, I know that forgiveness is one of the steps, but sometimes we have to go through all of the grief process in order to move into forgiveness. And you can have many lifetimes with other people, with loved ones that you absolutely love, and they play a really hard role in your life, and they have caused a lot of harm or caused a lot of trauma, and it's hard to rationalize. And I'll put it this way: when you have trauma and when you have these people that play these roles, there are grief cycles that you will go through. That is a very natural thing. And I'll give an example. My stepfather passed away, and in 2020 I got pregnant with my daughter. And while I was pregnant, I was heavily grieving my stepfather because there was really old, unprocessed emotions, old stories that were coming up to the surface to deal with before I gave birth. And one of the things that came up for me was I was really sad that he was never going to meet my daughter. But at the same time, I don't think I would ever allow him to be in relationship with my daughter. And so there's this duality that we can hold because that person has broke trust in your life. Now, with that also being said, he's in spirit now, he has transitioned. And so a lot of that mourning has, and a lot of the forgiveness has come through the work that I've done with him while he's transitioned, while he's been in spirit. And so there is this complicated experience that we get to have as humans, and that's called grief. And when it comes to contracts, grief is a part of some of those contracts. And when it comes to trauma, grief can be attached to that as well, because you can love someone and also not like them, or I don't usually like using this word, but I'm going to say it anyways, is you can even hate someone. You can love them and hate them all at the same time. And it's maybe not necessarily you hate their soul, but you hate what they've done, and that you hate the way that they treated you. And sometimes our soul family members, because they come into body just like us, and we get amnesia, they forget to the extent they'll play the role that they're supposed to play, but human experiences happen, and they're dealing with their own trauma, they're dealing with their own grief, and that causes them to go into different coping mechanisms, and that coping mechanisms could be of substance use or different forms of addiction. And not all forms of addictions can be related to substance abuse, because there is a term called a dry drunk, like someone that has alcoholic behaviors, but they don't drink. And so this can be very complicated. And so one of the things that I'm being guided to share is, no matter where you are at in your soul's journey of healing, it's crucial and important to understand the grief process, and understanding all the different cycles of the grief process, from anger to sadness to disbelief to understanding that it can reoccur out of the blue as well. And you don't have to forgive someone that you're not ready to forgive until you're ready to actually forgive, because there's a lot of other work that has to come before that. And sometimes that's just sitting with and being with the shame, the guilt, the embarrassment, the blank, 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 whatever emotion you can fill in the blank with that you are experiencing, whatever feelings you are experiencing. And then you have the opportunity, when you start actually acknowledging those feelings, to make space for forgiveness, because until you start unpacking some of that stuff, you can't. So let me go back to the contracts, but I want to read this. Someone said, I've been grieving for over 2 years. It's guilt that keeps me stuck there. Not sure how to release that. So here's the thing. Guilt and shame are so, they take like a big, strong hold on someone. And it could be guilt, or it could be shame, or it can be both. The thing that you have to understand is that when you are not giving yourself permission to feel that feeling, so you can be observing guilt from the outside, but you have to be willing to actually feel it. And so when you feel it, you can actually release it. And so doing the work to release it's going to be important. And so acknowledging that you are feeling guilty, or you are feeling ashamed, or you're feeling embarrassed, or you're feeling extremely mad, or you have a lot of rage around certain things. When you feel those emotions, you can then release them. And some particular topics or particular areas, it takes a little longer to process. And because we are onions, and I'm going to say this slightly different, because we are onions, and this is where the grief process comes in, we can deal with something, feel like we've overcome it, and then a year later or 2 years later, all of a sudden it hits you out of the blue to start looking at it again. And you're not really sure why you're experiencing that. And that's where you have to recognize that there is the grief part with it. And when it comes to the soul contracts, there's many entanglements that can happen with these contracts. And when you're dealing with a contract that's outdated and you're not willing to let go of the relationship because the contract's complete, that will keep you in a cycle that will not allow you to move to the next level or the next evolution in your life, because you're choosing to stay where you shouldn't stay, or where your soul is no longer necessary to be in a frequency or in a relationship with another person. Let me know if that's landing for you. When you release soul contracts, are there still cords connecting you to them? Yes and no. It just depends. It really depends on what it is. When it comes to spiritual work and when it comes to releasing contracts, typically you release it, there's nothing there left, but there might be something that the person is still holding on to that's keeping that cord connected that has nothing to do with the contract. And so that's where it can be complicated as well. Someone saying this helps so much. Yes. Wow. Awesome. Things have come to light with the cosmic shift. And I have noticed that every time my mom connects with my daughter, she poisons my daughter's mind with false beliefs about me. This is coming from Heather. I need to know if I end this. So you want to, this is so complicated, guys. So it's one of those things where you know in your heart what the right decision is, and what the right decision is for you might not be right for another family member. And so when it comes to parents or caregivers or grandparents or loved ones in general, I like calling this the pause, or putting them in timeout. And if you go to theamyrobeson.com/podcast, I have a whole episode on why it's important to put family members or friends or people that require space from in time out. And this will assist you in figuring out what the next step is for your soul's evolution. And when we put this on the podcast, on the streaming website, I'll put that podcast episode number. I don't remember the title of it off the top of my head. I'll put that in the show notes as well. So it is very complicated, but I put people in timeout all the time. My mental well-being, my mental health, my child is really important to protect. And so if I feel it is necessary to take a break from someone, I will take a break. And there is no problem with taking a break from someone, because when you decide to take a break from someone, you have time to create space. You have time to clear out their energy from your energy field and create space to really get into your heart. And also, you might just take a break and figure out what clear boundaries you want to set so that you can hold them with that person. And remember, boundaries are meant for you to hold, not for the other person to uphold. And so if you have someone that you state the boundary with, you better state what the consequence is if they break that boundary. And it's up to you to actually hold the consequence for that person. And I have someone in my life that talks about politics. And I say, like, if you talk about politics, we're going to end the conversation. It's not up to them to end the conversation. It's up to me to end the conversation. And so this is a really important way to understand where you are in power and you have the right to decide what your life looks like and what your relationships look like as well. Sandra said, well said. Move out of that energy is extremely important. You also have a clearer perspective. Yeah. And so sometimes it's just like you got to just take some time. And the more time that you take away from someone, the more you can make some space. And for me, when I do this with certain people, I know that if that person I'm not meant to be in relationship with, we're done. But then there are certain people that I do love very much, but it's just important for me to take the mental break and for me to hold the boundaries. And I know that I'm not here to punish that person either, because I know sometimes that the other person that maybe is behaving in a particular way has mental health issues. And I'm not here to punish that person either, or I'm not here to punish those people either, but I do have to protect my own mental health and my own emotional well-being so I can have an emotionally intelligent conversation without being dysregulated. And that's really, really important. So Heather said, more clarity, flushing them out of my nervous system. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Angel, yes. Live by your true, authentic heart, a true, authentic self, your heart. Release all the crud, make room for the good. It's all about choices. Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to share one more thing about contracts before we hop off, and that is there are very good contracts out there, like very awesome good contracts. And that's why we don't want to clear out all of our contracts. We just want to clear out outdated ones. We want to clear out contracts where they are keeping us stuck in the past. But there are very good contracts out there. And good contracts can be someone that uplifts you, someone that empowers you, someone that shows you a different perspective, someone that shows you love and kindness and understanding, someone that assists you on your path in a good way. And the thing about contracts, no matter what, is you have to understand we all have free will. And you have free will to decide what your life looks like and to decide what is in alignment with your path and what is out of alignment with your path moving forward. And the choices you make in the present moment impact your future, because all of the choices that you made in the past got you right here. And all the choices that you're choosing to make now is already designing the future in which you want. And so ask yourself, what do you want your future to be? Stay in that frequency, stay in that excitement, and assist yourself in moving into and aligning to the people, the places, the things, the organizations that are going to support you, that have contracts with you and supporting you, or may not have contracts with you, but they're just supposed to pass through your life and support you or make long-lasting friendships, and align yourself with it, because it's every day and every moment you have a choice, and the choices you are making are reorganizing within the universe what you will soon get and what you will soon receive and what you will soon experience. And so remember, you have choices to stay empowered. And it is okay to have a pity party. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be mad. It's okay to be upset. Just don't stay in that energy forever. Don't stay in it for a super long time. If you notice that you've been in an energy for a really long time that's not supporting you and getting the reality that you want and being in the reality that you want, this is where getting help is so crucial and important. And help looks different in so many different ways depending on what the situation is. And help could be watching a YouTube video or listening to a podcast or finding a healer, a mentor, a teacher, a counselor, a coach, doing different types of therapies, meditating, having different spiritual tools in your toolbox. I know for me, I do all of it. Like it all depends on what it is and what I require support, and we all require support in some way, shape, or form. And how that support shows up is how we're willing to receive it as well. Because oftentimes most people are so scared to receive support because it will be an identity shift. And when you have an identity shift, that makes you start questioning everything about yourself. And guess what? We're meant to have many different identity shifts. And if you're not uncomfortable, you are not growing. And so give yourself permission to get uncomfortable. Give yourself permission to really start studying what you are the most interested in. But most importantly, study your mind, because your mind is going to give you a lot of feedback on how it's creating your reality. So if you're having thoughts of not being good enough, that's creating your reality. If you're having thoughts about always being in pain, that's creating your reality. If you're having thoughts that nobody ever supports you, that's creating your reality. If you're having thoughts that you're always abundant and the light and the universe is always supporting you, and that you feel good and you're always attracting abundance in your life, that is quite a different frequency than I never feel good, nothing is ever going my way. And so it takes practice and patience to shift out of the things that are no longer working for you. Someone said, thank you, Amy. This is Heather. Heather Jean, your meditation activation really helped me. Love source chakra. Awesome. Yeah. So if you guys are interested, definitely go to the website and check out the free sacred gifts. We have 20 plus free healings. I'm about to upload a couple more in there that are going to be free. And it's going to be really awesome. So I'm excited about that. Our next live show is going to be next week. I'm totally on the wrong calendar date. When are we doing it next week? Oh, I think we're doing it on the 4th, September 4th. So join me September 4th at 2 p.m. Central. And then we also have a special the following week. We're doing Friday the 13th. We're going to do a goddess moon celebration for Friday the 13th. I'm going to talk about Friday the 13th. It's actually a very, very auspicious, lucky day. So any of you that feel dread on Friday the 13th, we're going to flip the switch on that. And then we also have the fall equinox healing coming up that we'll do on September 20th as well. So I hope to see you next week. Share this with a friend, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Have fun. Take care. See you soon. Bye, guys.